I was 6, I had entered my first talent competition, and I won. And that was my first trophy of the thousands. And I know that sounds crazy, but I had won thousands of trophies by the time I was a teenager. I had the goal that someday I wanted to be in Miss America. My whole childhood was spent really working toward that goal. It took me 3 tries, but after my 3rd try, this is the Miss West Virginia crown that I won, and got to go to Miss America in 1987 and walk the famous Miss America runway in Atlantic City, yes, waving. And it was an amazing experience for me. But when you put yourself in a position where you're competing and you're successful, people begin to look at you as someone that has to be perfect and someone that has to be have it all together and not make any mistakes. After I gave up my title as Miss West Virginia, I crowned the new winner, and about a few months after that, I was dating a guy from my high school that we joined together again after our 5-year class reunion. And we were dating, but I knew it was a temporary relationship because I was getting ready to move to Dallas to go to training to be a flight attendant. So it was all very temporary. And I liked him, but I knew it wasn't gonna last. But we got physically close. We did not have sex ever, but we got close enough one night that there was contact. A month after that, I noticed that I missed my period. When I was looking at the pregnancy stick, I knew I couldn't tell my mom and dad. And so I felt extremely alone and scared, mostly because I was getting ready to go to Dallas to training for 6 weeks. And then after my training for 6 weeks, I was gonna be sent off to wherever they would put me to be based as a flight attendant. I had a Saturday off while I was in training in the morning, and I knew I had to have an abortion. I don't think that I thought of it as I was going to end the life of my child. I really just thought I needed to not be pregnant anymore, and so I needed to do something about that. That choice changed everything about me. What once was walking down the runway and waving at people and talking to people and just being very open and very bright, it all ended. I wanted to lock myself in my apartment. I didn't want to be around anyone. About, I would say, a week after I had an abortion, I started binging on food, which continued for years. And I had nightmares. I had nightmares about my child. I had become married to my first husband, and 2 months after we were married, I became pregnant, and he didn't want to have this child because he wanted to live the young married life and go out and have fun and go on vacations and everything. And because of the place that I was in at that time, I just felt like limp. I felt limp. And I just allowed him to make the choice. We're going to a clinic. We're going to go ahead and take care of this. We're not going to tell anyone. Business, business, business. I'll drive you to Oklahoma City. We'll come back and we'll be done. And that's how it was. So I went through a divorce with my first husband, which was bad. I was at my lowest point at that point, and I was lost. I didn't really know what to do with my life, but I felt a calling somehow, and I was searching for God. I didn't know anything about him, and I didn't know if he would love me, but I was searching for him. And in my search, he brought me a man. He brought me a man named Mike who loved me unconditionally, who we decided to get married. But I felt like I needed to tell him that I had an abortion, not 2 abortions. I couldn't tell him I had 2. So I remember telling him everything about my first abortion. And he said, God will forgive you if you lay it down. He's going to forgive you. Mike and I got married, and about 1.5 years after we were married, I had never thought that I wanted children, but I felt like I wanted a child. And so we had a baby girl. And during the time that had her, I had gone to an event at my church called Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames. And I gave my life to Christ that night. And he began to work in me in so many ways. I went to church one morning and there was a video, and the video had about 3 or 4 different women talking about being post-abortive and all the consequences that they had about being post-abortive. And I just saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, like I can totally relate. And it was mentioned that there would be a post-abortion healing class at our church. And the first day, we were all supposed to share our abortion stories. And I remember thinking, okay, well, I'm going to share one of my abortions, but I'm not going to share about both. But God had a different plan. Because when I started sharing about my first abortion, then everything came out. After I went through Forgiven and Set Free, the post-abortion healing class, I immediately had a fire in my heart to do something, and I have to be able to listen to that call and speak and share. And so I've been doing that, and from that calling, Abortion Hurts, God Heals Ministry was formed with 2 wonderful ladies beside me who have the same fire and the same passion. And we have a team of amazing ladies who have it in their hearts to share too. And God just said, if you don't share what I did for you, then how are the 1 in 3 women who have had abortions going to know that I can heal their hearts? How are they going to know? So he's given all these ladies voices as well to be able to work together and to share in different churches and universities and women's retreats, to be able to share this story. And when we do that, people know, women know, men know for the first time that God can forgive the sin of abortion if they lay it down at the cross.